He walked into the clinic holding his chest, struggling for breath, yet no one moved. Not the receptionist, not the nurse, not even the doctor who glanced at him for a second before turning away as if he wasn't even there. For 72 years, Mr. Harris had survived everything life threw at him, but he never imagined that the people trained to save lives would choose to ignore his. As his breathing grew weaker, the staff whispered behind the counter, not about his symptoms or his pain, but about him, his skin, his insurance, his attitude. And in that moment, it became tragically clear. Sometimes the most dangerous thing in a hospital isn't the illness. It's the prejudice. Before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe so more stories like this reach people who need to hear them. Mr. Harris wasn't supposed to be alone that morning. His daughter had begged him to let her drive him to his appointment, but he didn't want to trouble anyone. He had lived in this neighborhood for decades, watched it change, watched people come and go, and he trusted the small community clinic on the corner. "They know me there," he'd said with a tired smile. "I'll be fine." The pain started as a slow pressure in his chest while he was making breakfast. By the time he locked his front door, it had spread down his left arm, a warning he had hoped to never feel again. Still, he believed that once he reached the clinic, someone would help him quickly. That's how healthcare was supposed to work. You show up in pain, and people trained to heal step forward. But the moment he stepped inside, something felt off. The waiting room was quiet, yet no one acknowledged him. The receptionist's eyes moved from his face to his worn jacket to the old insurance card in his hand. Her expression tightened, not with concern, but with judgment. "Have a seat," she said flatly, not bothering to ask what was wrong. Mr. Harris tried to stay calm. He sat down, clutching his chest, reminding himself that maybe they were just busy. Maybe someone would call his name soon. But minutes passed. Then more. The nurse walked out, glanced at him, and immediately looked away. A doctor followed, and Mr. Harris saw something unsettling in their eyes. Not worry, but annoyance. As the pressure in his chest grew heavier, he wondered if he had made a mistake coming alone. He wondered if he had trusted the wrong people. And for the first time that morning, a small, frightening thought crossed his mind. What if they don't want to help me? The minutes dragged on until they felt like hours. Every second tightened the pain in Mr. Harris's chest, turning it from a dull pressure into something sharper, something that felt as if it were clawing its way through his ribs. He tried shifting in his chair, sitting forward, leaning back. Nothing eased it. Across the room, the receptionist whispered something to the nurse, both of them stealing quick, uncomfortable glances at him. Their eyes never softened. Their expressions never changed. It was the look people give an inconvenience, not a human being in pain. Finally, unable to endure it any longer, Mr. Harris pushed himself up and walked slowly to the front desk. His voice trembled as he spoke. "Ma'am, I'm having chest pain. I need help." He wasn't loud. He wasn't aggressive. His tone was polite, almost pleading, the way someone speaks when they know they're running out of strength. The receptionist didn't flinch. She didn't even look alarmed. She just tapped her pen against the counter, sighed dramatically, and said, "Sir, we have procedures. You need to wait your turn like everyone else." He looked at the empty waiting room. "But there's no one else here," he whispered. She ignored the comment. "We'll get to you when we can." 3. The nurse stepped forward then, her arms crossed tightly. "You need to calm down," she said. "Raising your voice won't make us move any faster." He wasn't raising his voice. He could barely breathe. But before he could respond, a sudden spike of pain shot through his chest. His knees buckled, and he grabbed the edge of the counter to stay upright. Instead of helping him, the nurse instinctively stepped back, her face tightening, not from fear of illness, but from a cold, unmistakable discomfort. It was the kind of look that said, "I don't want to deal with you." Just then, a young intern stepped out from the back. She immediately noticed if something was wrong. "Sir, are you okay? You look pale," she said, taking a cautious step forward. Before she could reach him, the nurse grabbed her arm. "He's exaggerating. He does this every time he comes in," she said loudly, even though it was completely untrue. The intern hesitated, glancing between the nurse and the elderly man trembling in pain. Her instincts telling her something wasn't right. The doctor finally walked into the lobby, flipping through a chart, not even lifting his head at first. "What's the issue now?" he asked, sounding more annoyed than concerned. The nurse gestured lazily toward Mr. Harris. "He says he's having chest pain, but he's not being cooperative." Mr. Harris forced the words out. "Please, it hurts. I think it's serious." The doctor finally looked up, but the expression he wore wasn't worry. It was suspicion. "Is this another insurance problem?" he asked the staff. "No valid coverage on file," the receptionist replied quickly, though she hadn't even checked properly. "It claims the system must be wrong." The doctor exhaled sharply. "Sir, we can't treat you without proper insurance verification. You'll have to wait." "Wait?" Mr. Harris whispered, gripping the counter tightly. "I don't think I have time to wait." But the doctor had already turned his back. The intern tried again, her voice firmer this time. "Doctor, he's sweating. He's clutching his chest. His breathing is compromised." "This could be cardiac." I said, "Wait," the doctor snapped. "Don't get involved. We follow protocol." The word protocol landed like a slap, because deep down, everyone in that room understood the truth. If Mr. Harris were someone else, someone younger, wealthier, or simply lighter-skinned, protocol would have magically disappeared, replaced by urgent care and immediate attention. Another wave of pain crashed through him. His vision dimmed at the edges. He stumbled backward and collapsed into a chair, struggling just to stay conscious. And still, no one moved. Not the doctor, not the nurse, not the receptionist. Only the intern stood frozen, horror growing in her eyes as she realized she wasn't just witnessing medical negligence, she was witnessing prejudice deciding who deserved to live and who didn't. The room spun around him as Mr. Harris tried to steady his breathing. But the pain was no longer something he could fight. It had taken over his entire body. His hands trembled. His skin turned gray. He knew something was terribly wrong. Yet the people around him, people trained to recognize every warning sign, acted as if nothing urgent was happening. But then it happened so quickly that no one could deny it anymore. Mr. Harris's eyes rolled back. His legs gave out, and he collapsed onto the hard clinic floor with a thud that echoed through the silent lobby. The intern screamed, rushing toward him, dropping to her knees. "He's unresponsive. He needs help now," she cried. But the doctor didn't rush. He didn't kneel. He didn't even take a single urgent step. He just stood there with irritation written across his face. "We don't know his medical history," he muttered. "He could be faking. We need to follow protocol." The intern stared at him in disbelief. "He's not breathing. This is a cardiac arrest. We need to start CPR and call emergency services." For the first time, anger broke through the intern's fear. "Are you serious? He's a human being," she shouted, her voice shaking. She pressed her hands to Mr. Harris's chest and began CPR on her own, tears welling in her eyes. "Somebody call an ambulance." Still, no one moved. She looked up, breathless and terrified. "If he dies, this is on all of you." But even as she fought for his life, Mr. Harris's body remained still beneath her hands. And in that moment, the truth became undeniable. The people meant to save him had abandoned him long before his heart stopped. By the time the ambulance arrived, Mr. Harris had been fighting for his life on the clinic floor for what felt like an eternity. The young intern stayed with him, refusing to let go, while the staff watched from the sidelines, their faces a mix of guilt, discomfort, and deflection. The paramedics moved quickly, finally giving him the attention that should have been there the moment he walked through the door in the days that followed. The story spread quietly at first, whispered in the halls of the neighborhood, and shared among the people who had known Mr. Harris for decades. Friends and family questioned how something so basic, so vital, could have been withheld. How could trained medical professionals allow prejudice to dictate who lived and who suffered? The answers were unsettlingly familiar. Subtle bias, assumptions about race, fear of paperwork, and a culture that allowed protocol to overshadow humanity. This incident raises an uncomfortable question. For society, if this can happen in a hospital, where else are lives being quietly determined by prejudice? If you've experienced or witnessed the same, share your story in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video so together we